We are replacing the front struts on this 2013 Mazda 3. And we already got the wheel off. Those are 21mm lug nuts. Bada bing, bada boom. And now we are going to start taking off the components that are attached to the strut. So we have this brake line or ABS sensor. This is ABS sensor, I guess. Also known as a wheel speed sensor. That's how your brakes know how fast your wheel is or is not going. And that looks like maybe a 13mm. So we're just gonna buzz that off quick. Oh, interesting. The sway bar Endlink is tied to the speed sensor, which we preemptively kind of knew this might be a pain in the tush to get off. It actually looks like there's an Allen key in the middle, so we will hold that Allen key with and get the nut. So,
thinking about it.
I could also spray some
Oh yeah, she's coming.
penetrating fluid in there. 5mm and a 14mm wrench. Beautiful. I just gotta yoink this guy out. This rubber guy just kind of pulls straight out, like so. And we could even disconnect the sensor just to get all that stuff sort of free of here. So how does this go in? Is it just a... Oh. I'll grab a needle nose. Got this little clip here to hold the brake line in.
How does it work?
It's just like a spring retainer. So this should just slide out. But she a little bit rusty.
Oh yeah.
Here?
Yeah, wherever it went.
Oh, it's right there. Okay, so now the brake line is free of the strut. Now we can get this lower strut pinch bolt off, which is a 17. We're not on full ugga-dugga yet. Well, that's certainly loud enough. Now we want to spread the lower shock support. We're going to sneak this. So I have the shock spreader below at the lower portion of where this clamps the shock. And now we're just going to give this. Alright, that might be enough that now we can take these top bolts off and just pull her out. So these are... So we're going to get the last bolt off. We'll leave this one on to catch it. I don't know unless it's... She free.
Huzzah.
So since you have a fresh Endlink, these actually feel pretty good.
So what are you feeling for?
Just like slop in this joint. They feel nice.
Yeah.
I mean, they were pretty cheap. You can return them or you can replace them. This back nut might be just as much of a pain in the butt as the one you're fighting over there.
Might as well while we're here.
Here's where I put the spreader. So you have to clear this lower tab. So it has to go below it. And that spreads this opening so that the bottom of the strut can slide out. So now we're going to try to replace these, which seems to be a 5.5 Allen. With the rust, we were able to get it out on this side with a 5, and then a 14mm nut. All right, kids. so what we ended up doing was cutting the end off of this Endlink. It just saves you some time cutting that versus trying to fight the rusted on nut. Fresh Endlinks are like 10 bucks a pop. So we cut that off, and then the bolt gets stuck in there because it mushrooms over the edge. So then we took a flap disc and smoothed it out until we could punch it out with a punch. So now we are ready for reassembly. We'll put our spreader in at the bottom, sort of start the strut in the bottom, and then sneak it up to the top, and we should be on our way to reassembly. Obviously I didn't record this very well, but the trick to this was pivoting the knuckle sort of forward to give you enough space to sneak the bottom of the strut in as well as the top. So you go top and then you sort of shimmy the lower part into the knuckle, and then I just jiggled it a bunch with the spreader in place to get it to sort of seat. And then the top, I don't believe is symmetrical, so you have to spin the top. It'll spin freely of the base of the strut to get the top bolts lined up. These are torqued to 40 foot-pounds, but our new bolts are 12 millimeters, so I just did 35. The OEMs are 40. And then the lower knuckle is 70 foot-pounds, and then I would also do the Endlink at like 30, 35 foot-pounds on both the strut mounting position and the sway bar mounting position. All right, so if you bought the FCS Auto struts, the little clip that the brake line goes through, we needed to sort of clearance a bit to get the brake line in there because of the paint. And then we also sort of pried it just a little bit. Otherwise this line would not get through. So you may want to consider doing that before you get it in the car, because it is kind of hard to get in here with the drill. We were able to with a very small drill. But now we have that in, we got our clip smashed in. We'll get our brand new Endlink on because we cut ours off because we don't hate ourselves that much. And we'll torque it down and it'll be ready to rock and roll. So the trick that we ended up using, going in here like so, and spreading them apart like so. If you have two pry bars, that was the secret sauce.